Alright, hello everybody and welcome back to the coffee table. So, today is going to be a battle in Field of Glory 2. Our taking part in the Battle of Bagradas, the 255 battle between the Romans and the Carthaginians. As you can see, we are starting off on the Roman side. We are playing as the Romans. We're in the force selection menu right now. We're just finishing out our deployment, choosing which troops we're going to be starting out with, which additional ones we're going to be adding. To start this off, you might be noticing that I have chosen to go with 2 extra Triarii, 1 Hastati Principe unit, and 2 more additional javelins. My goal going into this was that I would take the javelins and advance to the Carthaginian army slowly in a manner where I could hopefully draw them closer to me while keeping my infantry in support. The hope behind this was that their javelin men would retreat, as I have seen them do previously when I've run this battle, and I would be able to get at their elephants. The efficacy of this was questionable, and we're going to be seeing how well this played out. But right now I am currently in the process of moving up my infantry units. I again just want to make sure that I am trying to extend the line, because I want to try and avoid engaging with those elephants at all, and I mostly want my infantry engaging against the Carthaginian infantry. The hope here is that the Roman infantry should be superior. I do not want to be moving that Triarii into the forest, although in the long run it would have no impact because while they might get disrupted on that turn, by the time they get in contact with the Carthaginians, there would be no long-term repercussions. So I did have them go around, but it was largely senseless. Now, I am also going to continue moving all my Triarii out to the flanks, because again, the idea behind this is that I want to be extending my line as much as possible, because rather than having a deep formation where most of my units get boxed in and don't have time or the capability to react, I want them engaging with the horses as much as possible where I can get those Triarii to the flanks, and my Hastati will hopefully be engaging with their line infantry as well, or the Carthaginian hoplites, I believe it is. So currently we have our cavalry just a little bit out to the side. I do want to bring them closer just because I want them able to support my javelin men. I don't want the Carthaginian cavalry coming in to run my javelin men off during their turn. So I have moved them closer to support in the hopes that the Carthaginians will engage my cavalry before they go for the javelin men. Now, real quickly, we're looking at the Numidian javelin men just across from us. We're seeing how close they've moved. I'm not feeling comfortable with how close they are and how much support they have from the elephants right now. I'm hoping that they'll continue to move out a little bit. My biggest fear is that the javelin men will instead engage in a melee with my own javelin men, and there's not much that I can think to do to avoid that. I'm going to continue extending my line out to the flanks, because I want to, again, just get as many of those troops over on the flanks as possible. I'm moving my general over here as well. I don't want my general getting directly involved, so I don't want to put him on the front line, but I do want to get him at least in a position where he's going to be able to support if needed. Continue to push out on this right flank, and we have the Triarii coming up. This battle should probably I should just call it the Triarii's worst day, because my Triarii do not perform too amazingly during this entire battle, at least, and they do not endure a lot. My Triarii are going to have one heck of a time going through this, and you're going to see that as we continue. Now, I am going to continue with my javelin men, and as I mentioned, I do want to try and scare off their own javelin men. So, to do this, I'm going to move my javelin men up, and what my hope here is to put as much pressure on a single unit as possible in the hopes of disrupting and destroying that unit. So, as you can see, I've got my first 2 javelin men already hitting that one, and since that one's disrupted, I'm now going to move on to the next one and hit that one. Getting some decent damage out on these, I'm going to move my other one up to support. There is still that concern of the cavalry over on the flank coming in to hit me, so we're going to just hope that they don't do that. I've already moved my cavalry so they don't have too much more maneuverability left in them. But since I didn't get that disruption on the javelin man over on the left, I'm now moving and starting on the right so I can get as much disruption over there, because I want to put as much pressure as I possibly can into as many javelins as possible. So once I got one disrupted, I'm going to move on to the next one in the hopes that I can get them disrupted. As you can see, the two in the center haven't been disrupted yet. I'm going to try one more to get this one over on the side disrupted. I get that disruption, which is really nice. So that's a pretty good start to that. It looks like their gentlemen are starting off pretty poorly. I'm going to move my entire line forward. Unfortunately, I didn't think about my Triarii in the back, who were also part of the unmoved massive infantry. But for the most part, again, just because they're so far back, it doesn't have any effect. Now, as you're seeing, this is exactly what I didn't want to happen. We have two engagements right there. We had a third one that ended up falling back just because I think our javelinmen were supported. But the effect of this is that we can see the Carthaginian elephants have now moved up and are directly behind the javelin. The issue with this is that there's nowhere for the javelin to go, because they're not going to be able to go directly behind the Carthaginian elephants, and I cannot reach the Carthaginian elephants, so that kind of defeats the main crux of my plan, where I had hoped to actually hit those elephants and put as much pressure on them with my javelins, because I had wanted to run them off. In retrospect, I think a better idea would have been to push up some of my line infantry, Hastati / Principes, to support the javelin men, so that I could run off their javelin with those, and then put as much, clear the line with those, or even clear the line with cavalry, and then push up with my javelin men, either way. And when I'm saying clear the line, I mean clear the line of Carthaginian, Numidian javelin men, so that my own javelin men would have an easier time. Now, on the flanks, we're noticing cavalry movement. So far, the right flank, we haven't seen any opposition by the cavalry pushing onto our lines, although, our javelins, because even though it's really open, and luckily enough, they also decided to completely ignore my left flank as well. This does mean that my two generals on the side are being surrounded and engaged, but hopefully I will be able to push up my infantry support. Unfortunately, I did have a little bit of control user error with the mouse and camera movements right here, so I apologize for the disorientation with that. So we're going to quickly try and play through these melee battles real quickly, see how much we can get out of them. If we can consider any support for them. And if not, we are probably going to just continue throwing javelins, and where we don't do that, we'll just be running backwards. But, as I mentioned earlier, we do want to be supporting our general, so we are going, or not the general, but the cavalry. It is a general unit, but it's a sub-general. That's not the direct general unit of the battle. The direct general unit is in that Hastati Principe unit, just a little bit back. I am going to try and tie up some of their cavalry with my own, but before I actually attack them, I just want to be turning to face them, just because it looks like I'm going to be on the losing side of that engagement. So to delay that as much as possible, I am only going to be turning to face them. See if they'll come and attack me on their own turn. Continuing to move up my infantry units on the flanks, just so I can extend that line a little bit. I really want to get these Triarii out to the flanks so that they can be supporting that cavalry unit and putting as much pressure on the cavalry. Because, as somebody who comes from playing Total War historically, I am of the mindset that spears beat cavalry, which should hold true for the most part. As you can see, I briefly considered moving some of my Hastati up real quick to support that other general unit on the left flank, but I'm more concerned about the javelin men that are kind of isolated right now, because they've got that one cavalry unit off to the far left that could threaten them. But I do need to continue moving up these Hastati / Principe and Triarii just to support and get as much line extension as possible. So you're just going to continue to see that for the time being. And as we finish up moving these, we are going to now consider what we're going to be doing with all of our gentlemen. As I mentioned before, I really do not like that center situation where I can no longer reach the elephants, which was the entire point of getting the extra javelin men, and kind of nerfs or shoots my entire plan in the foot regarding engaging with them. So I'm going to move my javelin men back real quick, because I do not want them engaged. I notice that I'm in zone of control here. I can only move back one tile. I'm going to move this one back, as well as this one. However, this one does not have the opportunity to be surrounded by cavalry. Instead, I'm going to move him up, throw a quick javelin, and get 6 damage. Not the best, not the worst, but at least he's doing something. Because we have the opportunity here, we're going to throw real quickly at those javelin men, do as much damage as possible, and we're just going to play out these fights, because we have to see how these fights go. They're not going to have any real long-term repercussions or anything, just because not much we can really do about it. Didn't really have a choice there. In the interest of supporting my cavalry, I'm probably going to be moving up this Hastati. Whether I'm going to be attacking or not, we will see in a minute. But I do need to be tying up this cavalry in a second. Just because if they get out, it's going to be a massive problem. So we're going to end this turn, and we'll probably be moving on real quick. I'm jumping ahead a little bit to turn 7 here in a second. So as you can see, the battle has transitioned just a little bit. At this point in the battle, we can see that the Carthaginian elephants engaged with my line. They broke through my line several places. We can see a couple of their cavalry in the back got a little bit tied up, but we do get a massive win against one of their cavalry units, or one of their elephant units. We do this by basically just pressuring it with a whole bunch of javelin. I had like 4 javelin units surrounding it, so by throwing on it constantly, I got a real easy auto break from it. On the flanks, I'm still holding pretty strong. My Triarii have been able to get engaged with the Carthaginian cavalry troops, and we're just putting as much pressure and damage onto them. It's allowing me to get good impacts. Their units are all tied up together. There's really nowhere for them to go, and I'm getting a decent amount of flanking charges on all of them. So it's looking real nice in this situation. I'm going to continue pressuring them with this unit on the far right, which unfortunately brings me into contact with some of their infantry units. This does not go as well for me as I had hoped. It would have been nice, but the Triarii are not really as successful against Carthaginian infantry as the Hastati Principe are. We're going to continue attacking the Hastati Principe, we're going to continue utilizing the Hastati Principe to attack the Carthaginian main line infantry, and we're going to avoid attacking that elephant in the center as much as possible. There's 3 elephants sitting there, and both of them are kind of looking down, staring down that one Hastati Principe unit that's really exposed. Over here on the left, central left, we see that all my units are quickly engaged. I'm putting as much pressure on, I'm breaking their units, dispersing them. It's actually looking pretty good over on the left flank, although there is that Carthaginian elephant just kind of like looking our backside, being like, probably going to charge in there in a sec. Actually, there's 2 of them, one of them is broken, obviously. And unfortunately, I just don't have the skirmishers to actually get rid of them. I'm continuing attacking the Carthaginian cavalry over on the far left, hoping to break as many of them. My hope here was that if I could avoid attacking any of their line infantry with Triarii, I would be doing that, whereas I'd put as much Triarii pressure against the cavalry as possible, because that would be doing the most damage. Unfortunately, I do run into a situation where I encounter one of their generals. I believe that is actually Xanthus himself, who gets a massive win against my Triarii. You saw that 24 damage. I really do not want to be attacking that infantry unit formation with my own Triarii, because they probably won't come out of that too well. As you can see here on turn 8, we're not doing too well. We do have only 9% of the Carthaginian force broken. I'm considering engaging that one Carthaginian troop, but I'm probably going to avoid it. Instead, I'm going to backstep, because my Roman troops are doing pretty well. They're isolated. They may be isolated, but they don't have a lot of pressure on them. They can backstep pretty easily. And we're going to move on in turn 8. And I think we're going to jump ahead actually to a little bit later on. And in fact, the next time you see me, this is going to be in turn 13. Moving on quite a bit. The reason for this is not a lot happens, climactically at least, but by turn 13 we are on our last turn. As you can see, the battle has not been going really well. My Triarii have just been absolutely isolated. You can see that the one Triarii that got pushed up into the far corner over there is now fragmented and isolated. I have a Hastati Principe on the far left, no, right, that was also isolated. I've got Carthaginian elephants constantly engaging all my infantry units, like that one infantry unit over here is engaged by both the elephant and a unit of Carthaginian infantry, and over here a similar situation is going on. This unit is disrupted, but it's not engaged by a unit of infantry, but it was engaged by elephants. Unfortunately, that battle over on the far left between the Hastati and the Principe, no, the Hastati and the Carthaginian infantry didn't go well, and now my Triarii are engaged against them, something I was trying to avoid. That unit attacks the Phoenician-style foot that it was attacking, and it auto-breaks just because it's lost so much troops. It's also surrounded. The Carthaginian heavy elephants continues to push through. Just to get some petty damage on it, I'm going to turn, throw a whole bunch of javelins on it, get whatever damage I can. I get a fragmentation. No break so far. I have one more troop that can move in, but he will not be able to throw at him. And honestly, looking across the battlefield, it's not looking too great, so we're going to end that turn. Just going to play out this. We can already notice that the percentage has gone up from the 9 that we saw during turn 8 to 27, but so has our own losses from, I believe, around 24 to 57 and now 59%. We are at a 32% disadvantage. Victory is completely out of my grasp at this point. I'm just trying to get as much damage as possible out on the Carthaginian troops. And what we can see is just movement of the Carthaginian mass. Like, they've got so many troops. Another elephant just pushing into my unit, does 38 damage, breaks them. Another flank attack. Not an auto break, they hold firm. That's my general unit though. He never really got engaged until this very moment in the battle. But just so much damage. Another Carthaginian cavalry pushes in, hits them. We're at 62%, and honestly, this entire battle is just falling apart. Like, if it wasn't already falling apart, it was gone forever ago. We'll be real with this. I did enjoy this battle. I do think the Battle of Bagradas is one of the more difficult battles for the Roman side to be engaging in, just because the battle is kind of designed for the Carthaginians to win. It's really a introductory battle for the campaign, as far as I can tell, with the battle system as I can tell. Another fragmentation there on the far right side, another disruption there. As you can see, the Roman army, my Roman army has just completely collapsed. We are absolutely gone at this point. 41 damage, a unit falls back. I'm surprised we get that fall back on the cavalry, although that might actually be beneficial for the Carthaginians. And we're just seeing how these last couple of movements play out. Hey look, we get a rally right there at the very end, some dispersals, which is inevitable. Not like any of that rally is going to change anything. At 62%, we are defeated with a difference of 35% against us. That is the end of the battle. I do hope you have enjoyed looking at this combat. We're going to look at the results really quickly. We were playing on D&D difficulty just because I figured we might as well play on the hardest difficulty if we're going to play it, right? So, looking at this, we can see that the Carthaginians start out with 17,000 compared to our 13,000. That's like a 5,000 man difference. Okay, 4,000. I mean, when you add in the like extra 500 that they had, 800 to 300. And they only lost 2,000, we lost 8,000, which is about 60%. Again, hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, please leave a comment in the section below or start up a conversation. Other than that, I will be back with another video later. Take it easy and chill.